I am a natural overthinker. I think too much about what people think that they think that I'm thinking, so I am thinking ahead of what they're thinking, only to make things more complicated in life, and I know this. This is the story about the time the flight attendant thought that I was trying to show her my wiener. Alright, so this is the time I was flying from Los Angeles to New Mexico. Now let me just back up just a little bit. This is a time when jeans were really cool to be very tight and skinny jeans. I was not missing out on that wave. I was part of it. I was part of that movement, and I was happy to be that way. And I had the perfect pair of jeans, and you know when you have the perfect pair of jeans because you never want to wash them. I wore the heck out of them. So what happened was, these were tight pants, and I tried never to wash them, but I did have to eventually wash them because they started to smell, and people around me would be like, ugh. So I just decided I'm going to wash them. So I washed them, which was a massive mistake because at that point then, they no longer fit like they used to. Now they were very snug and very tight, and it was putting so much strain on the zipper that it just radiated up to the button, causing the button to just be like, forget it. I give up. But I wasn't gonna give up on these jeans. So I figured a way to rig that if the zipper was up, it would be fine and it would hold the jeans together enough. So now the jeans were back in commission, I was ready to take on the world. The only problem with these jeans is, along with the confidence, I had to pay attention. I had to pay attention more than usual because a lunge or a high step or a karate kick would unzip the jeans. But I'm a private karate kicker anyways. This didn't really affect too much of my life. So one day I gotta fly back home, and I'm flying by myself, and I don't really enjoy flying. It's not the fact of flying. I'm not necessarily worried about the airplane, but I just have anxiety that I deal with on a daily basis. Now, when I get anxious, I usually talk too much, and I talk fast, and I don't really think about what I'm saying half the time. But I feel like the more that I'm talking, the less that my brain is trying to talk to me and make me more anxious. I'm like this anywhere that I get anxious. At the doctor's office, if the doctor asks me a simple yes or no question, I'll turn it into a long dissertation about my childhood, and that when my dad had cancer, that made me feel like maybe I'm out of control and that I'm always worried that I might have cancer. So every single thing that comes onto my body, I think, oh, that might be cancer, and I turn to Google, and Google just freaks me out because it's either cancer or anxiety, and I look at the doctor, and the doctor's just sitting there like, just yes or no. And when it comes to flying, it's no different. So every single person, from the person taking my ticket, to the flight attendants, to the pilots, I'll yell into the cabin, hey, how you guys doing? And give them a thumbs up, and half the time they never look. But I definitely make sure that I make eye contact with the flight attendants. I let them see me, I let them hear me, I want them to acknowledge me, and I want them to see into my eyes, and I want them to know what I'm thinking. That I'm thinking, if I get anxious, or I get out of control, or I have a heart attack on this plane, you'll be there to save me. Most of the time I can tell what they're thinking. They're like, oh gosh, another one of these guys. But then I try to be not that guy by giving them an extra like smile or an extra wink, like I'm not that guy, right? So on this day, I board the plane and we're stalled because someone is trying to put their oversized body bag up in the luggage compartment, you know, and they're struggling, and no one's helping because everyone's like, why did you do that? It's like, we clearly had that thing downstairs that like, can your luggage fit in this? We all saw that, we all abided by it, but you are that person. So anyways, we're stalled, and I'm standing there, and I'm right next to the flight attendant. And this flight attendant is a very attractive young woman. And I'm married, so her being attractive doesn't mean anything like, hey, I think this is gonna turn into something. But I do also want her to know that I know that. So I do the move that I've done a lot, is I'll kind of use my left hand, my ring finger, and I'll kind of like either put it through my hair, just kind of like as if I was thinking under my chin, just clearly putting my ring out there to let them know I'm not trying to hide that I'm married, right? She's kind of avoiding eye contact, watching the person put the body bag in the bag. So I think like, okay, well, that's what we'll talk about, right? And I'm like, these people sometimes, right, with their huge bags. Whew. Yep, this should be a short flight today. Where'd you guys start today? Where'd you start? Is this your home base? No, Dallas. Oh, cool. I like Dallas. Dallas is cool. That's a really cool city. That's cool. And then the line opened up. So now we're moving. And I just kind of, one more shot like, hey, well, thanks for your service. I was thinking in my head, like, you don't have to worry about me. I'm the good guy. We're on the same team. So everyone's seated. Right? Let's just cut to that. Everyone's seated now. Now, aside from trying to befriend the flight attendants, I also do a thing that it eases my anxiety if I make a relationship with the people on my aisle. I want us all to make a little aisle community where we're all looking out for each other. If one's asleep, I will make sure I grab an extra bag of pretzels just for you. I'll do that for you. My aisle community didn't go as planned. The two people next to me, one guy fell asleep immediately, which I always find super fascinating when people can actually fall asleep on a plane. And the person next to me had put in their headphones and just zoned out. They do the, hey, this is how you put your seatbelt together. Hey, here's in case we were to crash. Like, no one's really watching except me. I'm giving my full attention. I want them to see me seeing them. I'm even kind of laughing at the guy's jokes that is on the PA system. And I'm even doing the thing where I'm kind of like, oh yeah, here's the pamphlet. Okay, great. Oh, that's the seatbelt thing. There's the exits. I got it. Okay. I'm definitely being an active participant. So as the flight attendant's coming down the aisle, and of course this is the one that we've made an interaction with at the beginning. And she's coming down and she's looking at people. I can tell she's annoyed because some of these goobers are already doing the things. And so she comes down and I do this. I go like, hey, here's my seatbelt. Almost like a side-of-the-road used car salesman who's like displaying this car with wonderful hand motion over it, getting you to look at a car that you weren't even thinking about, but now you're like, yeah, I gotta buy that car. And I see that she's just looked like she had stopped, and she's looking. She looked at like what I thought was my seatbelt, and then looks at me and is like, ew, and then walks away. I looked down to think, like, did I not buckle my seatbelt right? Like, shit. And somewhere navigating the throes of walking down the aisle, keeping my attention solely on that one window seat and having to long step over some guy that's put his feet already in the aisle, the zipper of my perfect skinny jean pants had come undone. And now my pants were filleted open. So now it looks like I just flashed her my boxers, and instead of being an ideal flyer, now I'm on a shit list. She didn't even ask my drink order. I didn't even get pretzels because none of my aisle community even cared or even knew what happened to me. So they couldn't vouch for me and say, that guy's actually a pretty good guy. He just had some tight pants with a bad zipper problem. So it's been a couple of years since the whole zipper incident, and I still fly. I still get anxious every time I fly. But I think what I'm realizing now is why I get anxious in certain situations. A lot of it has to do with control. So being on a flight, completely out of control. But the other part is feeling disconnected, feeling alone. That's why I think I'm so adamant about trying to create a little community on a plane. It weirds me out that we can all get into a box, a group of people, shared experience, and we can fly across the country, across the world, spend hours next to somebody and not even get to know them. Or not even just say hi. And I know sometimes it's difficult to open ourselves up, and I'm not saying anybody should do it. I should definitely learn not to be that guy and try to talk to everybody and just deal with my own shit. But sometimes I do think that it doesn't hurt to try to open yourself up, to try to create a little community, even a little aisle community. So we all got to open ourselves up sometimes. Even if it is opening your fly and showing your boxer shorts.